Is WWE 2K22 Geo mode already dead? Or am I over exaggerating? Well, you can make up your own mind, because this video is going to be 5 reasons why WWE 2K22 GM mode, in my opinion, is broken. So I'm going to take you through what GM mode has to offer, basically how you get set up in GM mode, and the 5 issues that I've encountered already without even playing it, that I have determined that the game mode is broken. So you start off GM mode and you get to pick your GM. Now there is 5 options available. Those options are Adam Pearce, Sonya Deville, William Regal, Shane McMahon, and Stephanie McMahon. No issues with the latter 3 options, William Regal, Shane McMahon, and Stephanie McMahon. All good picks for GM, and you can understand why Pearce and Sonya Deville are available, because they are basically the 2 current GMs, even though they have the titles of WWE officials. Now, each GM has their own sort of trait that you can like cash in on a future show. Now, I can't exactly remember what they were, but it was things like if you pick Shane McMahon, you get to increase your ratings over 2 weeks or something like that. If you pick William Regal, he's got like a legend trait where you get to sign 1 legend for free and things like that. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. I have no issues with that. That's a new thing they've added. All good. Then we move on to the brand selection. You've got SmackDown, Raw, NXT, and NXT UK, the 4 brands that WWE currently operate with in real life. Again, no issues here, and just like the GMs, all these brands currently have their own trait. So with SmackDown, if you go SmackDown, they randomly boost 6 superstars on your roster. They boost their popularity by 6, which is weird, but I don't know why. If you go Raw, it means the brand that you're competing against is not allowed to book any of their pay-per-view stars on a week show. So I don't understand it, but they've got all these mad traits that I guess it adds something new. It makes it exciting. It puts a strategic reason behind selecting your brand, which I'm all for. Okay, so far so good. Happy with how things are going. But then we move on to the next screen, and you have to select what brand you're competing against. So initially, I seen the 4 brands. I thought all 4 brands would be available and be playable and be a part of the GM mode. That is not the case. You get to select 1 brand, and then the other 2 are gone. So if you go SmackDown, you have to pick which brand you're going to be competing against. If you pick NXT, then Raw and NXT UK do not take part in the GM mode. They're gone. They are eliminated. Which, again, doesn't make sense to me. I think if you were going to play this, if you're going to go Raw, you have to compete against SmackDown. If you're going to go NXT, you would have to compete against NXT UK. Now, I'm not giving this a reason why it sucks, but I do think it's a bit lame. I think it would have been good if you perhaps could have started with NXT UK, and you were the brand with like the worst roster, the brand with the least money, the least viewership, and you could maybe try and move from the 4th brand in the company all the way up to number 1, and like in a road to glory type of thing. In my opinion, that would have been something cool you could have done, but you don't get to do that because it's head-to-head, essentially. You're going one-on-one with another brand. You get to pick that brand. Alright, anyway, this is where things get interesting. So, you go into the draft, you select your draft. It says after the 8th draft selection, you can leave. So you have to select at least 8, and then you can leave. Now, to me, 8 doesn't seem like a lot, and this is, in my opinion, where this whole thing goes downhill. So you get to the draft selection, and what do? They only give you a small portion of the available roster to draft. So let's say, for example, there's 100 people on the roster. You might think when you get to draft day, there's 100 people you can choose from. That's not the case. They randomly select a portion of the available roster for you to pick, and you cannot select who's available and who's not. So you might think, well, there's going to be Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns to choose from, and they might not even be there. You might have Brock Lesnar, but you might not have Roman Reigns to choose from. You might have Drew McIntyre, but you might not have Bobby Lashley to choose from. The game just randomly picks who's available every time you start up a new GM mode. In my opinion, that's fucking borderline broken. Why are they only giving you certain superstars to choose from that you've made available? I can understand if there's certain people you don't want in your GM mode and you pick for them not to be a playable character or a selectable option, whatever. But they've decided that when you start off the brand, they're going to limit who you can and who you cannot select, and you do not get a choice over it. So, you might think that you're going to get, so let's say Drew McIntyre and Sheamus, you might want them on the same roster, but when you go to the draft screen, one might only be available, or maybe none of them will be available. It's insane. It's mad. It doesn't make any sense. Why would they include that? What is there to gain? What is the advantage of including that? There is none. There's no advantage. But they've went and fucked it up. They've done it. Why they've done it, I do not know. But that's reason number one why this GM mode is broken. Reason number two, there's only 2 championships, yes. You get to the select champion screen after you draft your roster. There is a world men's title and a world women's title. There is no tag team titles. There's no mid-card titles. No intercontinental. No United States Championship. I don't know what NXT has. They've got something like, what have they got? They've got the North American. That isn't in the game. I don't know what UK has, but again, it's only a world title and a female world title. That is it. How disrespectful to the Intercontinental Championship, a legendary belt, and they've not put it in there. So much for realism. So much for wanting to have a realistic GM mode. And if you go Raw or SmackDown, they've just wiped out half the belts. Now, I can understand not putting in the women's tag titles, or understand them not putting in the 24/7 title, because those titles absolutely fucking suck. But to not put in tag titles, to not put in IC and US titles is abysmal. It's a horrible decision. It completely makes... Why would you select tag teams? Why would you pick tag team? What's the point of having the Usos? What is the point? Unless you plan on making one of the Usos your world champion, that's the only belt they can go for. So why would you select the Usos? You can't even select like a lower mid-carder or a jobber and try and build them up to be an Intercontinental or a United States champion, because those belts don't exist. So every male that you draft, the only belt they can compete for, no matter how bad they are, no matter how low their popularity is, no matter how shite or how small they are, the only belt they can compete for is the main title, either the WWE Championship or the Universal Championship. In my opinion, that is absolutely fucking shocking. I don't know why they've done it, but they have. And that is number 2, guys, why this GM mode is broken. Abysmal decision. Number 3. There's only 5 slots available per week. 3 of them are matches on the card and 2 of them are promos. I was wondering why they said you could stop drafting after 8 picks, and now it all makes sense, guys. 3 matches per week and 2 promo slots per week. How? How can they justify this? The SmackDown GM mode back in the days, SmackDown versus Raw GM mode, you had 6 match slots. Back then, Raw was a 2-hour show. Raw is now a 3-hour show. Raw is an extra hour. But they took away half the amount of matches you can do. And why? What is the point of that? What is the absolute point of that? Now, I understand that maybe you have to have a set amount of matches. I'm okay with that. Like, I'm not saying you should be able to book 10, 20 matches. I understand. But how can you limit it to 3? Seriously, at the absolute... At least 5. You need to have at least 5. But they've only got 3. So, honestly... What a terrible decision. In my opinion, if I was doing it, I'd probably have 10 slots. I'd have either 10 slots or 8 slots. If I had 10 slots, I would do 6 matches and 4 promos. And if I had 8 slots, I would do 5 matches and 3 promos. But they've give you 5 slots, and you only get 3 matches and 2 promos. So, you tell me, guys. I don't know what the pay-per-views hold. Haven't seen a pay-per-view yet, but for whatever brand you pick, you get 3 matches and 2 promos. And if you've got a roster of 20, then how can you realistically have people on the show week in, week out and build things up. You just can't. With the limited amount of slots, it's just not possible. It's not feasible to have a realistic, or have even a good GM mode here. Let's be real. There's going to be people missing out week in, week out because of the limited amount of slots. Unless you want to do what AEW does and just book a load of 6-man tag matches to try and fill up as many people, push as many people as you can onto the show, then that is it, guys. So, unreal. That's number 3. That's almost as bad as number 2. In my opinion, not having the tag belts and the IC belt is more of a game breaker, but this is equally as bad. To only have 3 matches per week, that is an atrocious decision. Reason number 4, you can sign free agents, but again, just like the draft, you do not get to pick which free agents you can sign. Every single week, it differs. So on week 1, let's say you didn't pick AJ Styles in the draft. Week 1, he might be available. But here's the thing, you can only sign 1 free agent. 1 per week. So AJ Styles might be available the first week, but if you don't sign him, and if your opponents don't sign him, on week 2, he can just disappear, and he's nowhere to be seen. So it gives you, even on the draft day, you're potentially missing out on somebody you want, and then you can't even sign them as a free agent because you have to wait before they come available. Like, what? Why? Why not just have everybody who wasn't selected in the draft available as a free agent for whenever you want to sign them? Why are they available 1 week and then they just disappear the next week? It makes absolute zero sense, and it's dumb. It's retarded. There's no advantage of having it this way. I don't get it, guys. I don't fucking get it. Number 4, there you go. The wrestlers, free agents, they disappear, they come and go. They've got a Brock Lesnar schedule, apparently. There you go. And reason number 5, kind of similar to number 4, when you do sign a free agent, you cannot select how many weeks you have them for. There is a set amount of weeks. So let's say, for example, there is AJ Styles, there is Bobby Lashley, and there is Big E. AJ Styles might be available on a 5-week contract, Bobby Lashley might be available on a 10-week contract, and Big E might be available for a lifetime contract. What if you don't want a lifetime contract? You can't pick and choose. You can't have AJ Styles on a lifetime contract because they've only assigned Big E a lifetime contract. So you could only get AJ Styles for 5 weeks. But flip it around. What if you want to bring in Big E just for 1 pay-per-view? You cannot sign Big E for 5 weeks and then let him go. You have to sign him as a lifetime superstar on your roster because the game doesn't allow you to pick the contract length. The game automatically assigns a set date for each different wrestler and they appear to be randomized. So again, retarded. So you want to bring in AJ Styles, but he's only on 5 weeks. You bring him in. At the end of the 5 weeks, you cannot increase, you cannot further the contract. You cannot negotiate and get him to stay for another 5 weeks. At the end of the 5 weeks, he leaves. He's a free agent, and he might be signed up by Raw, or he might not appear on the free agents list for another 4 weeks. But you bring AJ Styles, and you want to do big things with AJ Styles, but after 5 weeks, he's gone. He's no longer a guy on your roster. He disappears, and there's nothing you can do about it. That is reason number 5, guys. There's probably more. I haven't even started playing through week 1. This is just based on basically the setup process alone. So setting up the GM mode, these are 5 game mode breaking things that I have came up with, and they're there. They're not like slight annoyances. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the contract things could be a slight annoyance, but only having 2 belts, only having 3 match cards every week on your show, to me, that's an absolute deal breaker. Not having the full roster to choose from in week 1 is an absolute deal breaker. So let me know what you guys think down below. But I don't know, why would they do this? Why would they do this? It makes no sense. They've completely fucked up the game. We waited ages and ages to get a GM mode back. We finally got it back, and it looks like they've shafted us. Now, I guess they'll make improvements. I think by next year's game, they will have fixed this. You would like to hope they've fixed this, but my problem is this game isn't even out yet, and we're talking about next year's GM mode. We should be talking about this year's GM mode and how it's great and how we can't wait to play it. But already, after just looking at the setup process, I'm thinking, God damn, we're going to need to wait until next year's game till they fix these things. It's an absolute joke, guys. This has been 5 reasons why WWE 2K22 GM mode sucks. Let me know what you think down below. Am I overreacting, or are those 5 genuine reasons why this GM mode is broken? Let me know. I'll catch you guys later. More wrestling content coming soon. The game might be shite, but I guarantee we'll be playing it. Till next time, peace.